What's up, YouTube? It's me again, and today I'm gonna talk about a very important topic, the imposter syndrome. From the definitions that I've checked online, the imposter syndrome is a feeling of inadequacy despite eminent success or progress towards a goal. This is just a bunch of words arranged together, but then I'm gonna give you a practical example. Have you ever felt like you're not good enough when you're pursuing a skill? Or let's say you've started a new course, you want to be a doctor, you want to learn computer science, or you want to learn how to program, to dance, to play the guitar, to paint. Yeah, there's so many things I want to do in that list. But then I don't do most of them. And for some of them, like programming, when I started programming, most of the time I felt like I was not good enough, or I was not going to make it, or I wouldn't be as good as the people teaching me or the people who inspired me to do it. And this led me not to accelerate or actively pick up the skills that I had sought out to acquire in the first place. A practical example that most of us face, and at least I saw with my friends and I, was during the job search period. Just at the final stage of college or immediately after college, when you're searching for jobs, especially in the field of IT or other fields where practical experience is needed, you might face imposter syndrome in all interviews, even when submitting your CVs, and even when you get a job. During your first months in the job, you'll experience this. But you'll only experience this if you're a perfectionist or you identify as a smart person. And I'm going to get into it. So let's say you're learning how to code, and then you write a few lines of code, you make maybe your first program, but then you go online and see what other people are doing, or you go to some GitHub repos. Let's say you're learning how to play the guitar, then you go online and see how people are just doing some crazy things over there. You're learning how to paint and you paint your first, I don't know how to say it, but cartoon, with sticks, with a circle, a stick, and sticks going this way, and another stick, and another stick, and you say, a boy. But then you go online and find Leonardo da Vinci type or Picasso type art, and then you feel like, will I ever get there? And then you start doubting yourself. You say, okay, maybe I'm not supposed to do this. This is not for me. Or you get your first job and then you're there on the job because maybe you've picked a few skills in Python and you added Python. You picked a few skills on Java and you added Java to your CV. You picked a few skills in leadership and you added leadership to your CV. Teamwork to your CV. And then you get your new job. And then you feel like it's up to you to show your prospective employer that I really have these skills. And then you get caught up in showing that you have these skills instead of learning and improving to reach to where you want to be. That's the catch-22 situation that the imposter syndrome can get you into. But since you're watching this video, you don't have to get into that situation because I went through it and I don't want you to go through it. Here's how I actively, after several trials, actually feel like I have tackled imposter syndrome. and might not experience it ever again, because I know when it's cropping up. The school system is partly to blame for this, because if you're a smart person, then you've almost definitely been used to winning all the time. You get good grades, you're on top, others are below. And that makes it harder to pick up a new practical skill, because you know you're going to be below when you start. So you feel like most of the things that you should do should only come when you're prepared, like we used to prepare for exams. And then you're sure that I'm prepared and I'm going to be at the top. But in real life, that's not how things work. You have to have a skill or you don't. And if you don't, you have to learn it from scratch. And there's never going to be an exam that separates you from the rest. The only exam is, can you do it or not? And if you can't, can you learn it? It's not like if you can't, you're dumb. If you can't, you lose. You're a loser. You can't. No, that's not how life works. If you can't do it and you want to do it, take time and learn it. That's the best way to tackle the imposter syndrome. And when you actually get yourself in a situation where maybe you learned the basics of a programming language and you get your first job, just go in with a learning mindset. I'm actually going to now list the things that I do that makes me tackle the imposter syndrome. The first thing is intellectual humility. I don't identify as a smart person anymore. I've been told for most of my life that I'm a smart person. And so have most of you. But I choose not to identify as a smart person anymore. Yes, I might be smart, but I just use my smartness as a tool, not as an identity. So I'm very, very deliberate about how I apply my smartness. So first things, I tend to be more intellectually humble when I face new tasks or I want to learn a new skill. When I see something that I'm not familiar with, I don't shy away from it. I go in as like a dry sponge, ready to be immersed in water, just to pick up everything. The other thing is the learning mindset. There's so many things in this life that we don't know. Maybe an asteroid will hit us tomorrow, who knows? But there's so many things in this, there's so many variables that you can't control. And when you are a perfectionist or a smart person, you feel like you should know everything and everything should be under control. No, you can't do that. Life is just a lifelong classroom without exams. So with any skill that you want to learn, you can learn it. But if you have the learning mindset. The other thing that I apply is I embrace problems and difficulties. You see, I have a list I'm reading from when I can't get my cue, and I'm not ashamed of it. Just part of the process. So I embrace problems and difficulties as they come and humble myself to the dictates of the problem at hand. And the other thing is to use your smartness as a tool, not as an identity. I think smartness is a lever to make work easier. So use your smartness as a tool and not as an identity. You can't tell a rock to move, but if you use a lever, you can move that heavy rock much easily. So if you're doing anything and you feel like you're not good enough, apply these principles and kick imposter syndrome out of the way. You got this and you're good enough. Just need to be more humble and be more patient. Thank you for watching this video, and I'm planning to do more videos on the same and on mental models and books and things that I'm currently reading that help me with this. Just let me know if you want to see more videos like those, and bye.